What does the future hold for this upcoming major free agent? But first, a recent CM Punk backstage story has been debunked. This past weekend at AEW All in London, things would get physical backstage between CM Punk and Jack Perry, an issue sparked by a remark made by the latter during his match on the pre-show. Whilst I won't cover all the details as we did a whole segment yesterday, it's time to debunk a follow-up story and the reported second near incident involving the Second City Saint. Taking to Wrestling Observer Live last night, Brian Alvarez would claim that following Punk's encounter with Perry, he would then be confronted by former AEW TNT champion Miro with a near incident taking place. And here's exactly what Brian had to say. Apparently there was another near incident with CM Punk, and I heard this from multiple people again. When CM Punk came through the curtain, Miro starts coming up and he's like, "What happened with Jack Perry?" CM Punk is like, "Oh, so now you got a problem with me now?" So they get into an argument, and basically it's like, "You want to step outside." I don't know what happened, but I do know they didn't step outside and CM Punk ended up back in the trainer's room. But apparently there was an issue with Miro and CM Punk, and that's why Miro had been all over Twitter the last couple of days. Well, it wouldn't take long for the story to be squashed, as several other sources would claim no such incident happened, at least not in a serious way. First, let's get to a tweet from Ibu of WrestlePurist, who would note, "To be frank and open, I've spoken to people in the company that don't qualify as Punk camp about this overall situation, and none of them have mentioned this Miro element that has been introduced today. This is not to discredit anybody's reporting that this happened. I simply did not hear this, and I've spoken to a number of people about this thing at AEW." This would then be followed up by a report from PW Insider, who revealed that Miro, CM Punk and Brody King actually arrived at the stadium together in the same car, which appears to suggest that there's little heat between the two men concerned, and they would write, "We are told by several that was not the case. There were words described as bantering between the two, but no physical altercation. We are also told Punk, Miro and Brody King all travelled to and arrived at the stadium together the day of All In the same vehicle." And for our final definitive report that puts out this rumour fire, let's go to an update that came from Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful, somebody who is typically most responsible when it comes to these type of situations, who took to a live stream to say, "From one side of things, the Punk side of things, I heard just like, no. And then from the Miro side of things, which wasn't Miro directly, who wasn't keen on Punk's side of the Jack Perry story, but they had an interaction after Punk's match. It was backstage, either in the trainer's room or somewhere, and Punk was getting worked on, etc. I don't know verbatim what was said because I wasn't there, but to the best of what has been relayed to me, Miro asked how Punk was doing. Punk said something like, 'Okay, unless you want to fight me too,' as like a joke type thing, and again terminology not that sure of, and I believe Miro also jokingly, apparently from what I've heard, was like, 'Okay,' Punk said, 'Let's take this outside then,' and Miro said something like, 'How about we take this to the ring?' And that's how it was explained to me by sources that lean definitely each way, and they giggled about it and I guess walked off, but it is two guys who are very clearly willing to fight human beings and also have been known to make a joke or two. And next up, Roman Reigns has just hit an incredible milestone. Ever since August 30, 2020, Roman Reigns has held on to the WWE Universal Championship following a win over then-champion The Fiend, as well as Braun Strowman. He would then of course later unify both the WWE and Universal titles, becoming the undisputed WWE Universal Champion. Well, today marks the 3-year anniversary of Roman Reigns' initial Universal title win at Payback 2020, a feat that has only been reached 4 times before him with a major WWE belt. Only Bruno Sammartino's 2,803-day and 1,237-day reign, as well as Bob Backlund's 2,135-day reign and Hulk Hogan's 1,474-day reign, have lasted longer with a major WWE championship. Reigns' reign appears to be showing no signs of slowing down, with him just 143 days from passing Bruno's second second longest WWE title reign, a milestone that will be reached come January 2024, which will place him as the third longest reigning champion in WWE history. Say what you want about Roman Reigns, but there's no denying that his current run at the head of the WWE table is nothing short of groundbreaking. Next up has this former world champion retired. Over recent weeks, former NWA and Impact World Champion Nick Aldis has been working as a producer backstage in WWE, with him reportedly shadowing fellow former TNA star P.T. Williams at recent tapings. His transition to a backstage role has led to questions regarding his future inside the ring, speculation he addressed this week on the Nikki Knows Best podcast. Aldis is adamant that he's still in his prime, insisting that he's not yet ready to hang up his boots, and he would say, because of the discussions about a different role, immediately it jumps to, oh, he's not wrestling anymore, he's retired. Is he done wrestling? Hold on, I'm 36 years old. Maybe another blessing and curse in my career is that I got started on a national, international stage very early in my career. I was signed at 21. Sometimes I get put in the generation ahead of me in terms of age. I'm 36, I'm very much in my prime. Wait a minute, where has all this discussion about being done wrestling come from? Everyone needs to chill. When or where Aldis steps back inside a ring remains to be seen, although perhaps an opportunity will present itself in WWE, although for now, there appears to be no plans for this to happen. With that said, it's clear his decision to join the company as a producer doesn't mean he's done with wrestling. And next we have an update on the ticket sales for AEW All in London. Heading into this past weekend's All Elite Wrestling Wembley Stadium show, there would be much talk of how much of a success the show would be when it comes to attendance, with some pundits touting that anything close to 40,000 people would be a success, with our own community poll showing mixed expectations as to what the show could draw inside the UK's largest stadium. In terms of paid attendance, the official number published by the company was 81,035 in the end, with Tony Khan later adding that over 90,000 people were in the building in total, which includes staff, comps, and other non-paying attendees. According to a fresh report from PW Insider, it seems that the 81,035 number is accurate, something they were able to confirm via their own sources, and they would write, PWInsider.com is told that the announced attendance at All in London was 100% legitimate paid attendance to the tickets. The company did not include comps or visitors or anything else beyond the paid tickets in the announcement, as they wanted the paid to be the number that was officially announced and touted, and also did not want there to be any overinflation of the number. The report confirms that the London show now has the highest paid attendance in pro wrestling history, an incredible achievement for such a young company. The previous record was held by WWE and WrestleMania 32, with 80,709 tickets accounted for at the turnstiles, with Vince McMahon confirming himself that the 101,000 number published at the time included ushers and ticket takers and all that. And next, a former world champion is edging closer to retirement. Former IWGP heavyweight champion Tetsuya Naito is coming off the back of his huge G1 Climax win, with him earning himself a shot at the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship at Wrestle Kingdom. Speaking with the New Japan Pro-Wrestling website this week, Naito would discuss his time left inside the squared circle, with him noting that he is the same age as Hiroshi Tanahashi and Masahiro Chono when they won their last ever G1 tournament, adding that he appears to be closer to the end of his career than the beginning, and he would say, well, if you watch those Chono and Tanahashi matches back, they're a lot less mobile at that point than I am now, I reckon. I definitely feel I have a lot further to go yet. At the same time, I know my time is limited. I have knee troubles, eye troubles, the end of the line. That image of retirement that was so far away for so long is now coming into focus a little, but I think that's just another reason to enjoy where I am as a wrestler and to live in the now, right now. I need to make the most of every moment. That's not just in the ring either. Being in the gym, it's a big motivator for me to push harder, knowing I can't afford to delay anything. As for the short term, Naito is scheduled to face Jeff Cobb at the NJPW Destruction in Kobe event on September 24, with him on a collision course with January's Wrestle Kingdom. And next, multiple Hall of Fame wrestlers are returning to the ring. On September 9th, Impact Wrestling will host the tapings of their 1000th episode of Impact TV, with this set to go down in White Plains, New York, at the Westchester County Center. It had previously been announced that Impact Hall of Famer and former Knockouts champion Awesome Kong was set to play a role at the tapings. This after retiring from in-ring action at an NWA show prior to her Hall of Fame induction in 2021. Well, Impact have announced this week that the retirement will be short-lived, as Kong is set to wrestle on the upcoming Impact 1000, this for the first time in 3 years. On top of this, one of Kong's greatest rivals from her days in TNA, Gail Kim, is also confirmed to be heading back to action at Impact 1000, this for the first time since Rebellion 2019, where she lost to Tessa Blanchard. The inaugural TNA Knockouts champion has been working as a producer in Impact for the past few years, and is yet another Impact Hall of Famer to be returning for the big show. Kong and Kim join fellow Hall of Famers Team 3D, aka the Dudley Boys, on the show, who will also be teaming together in in-ring action on the same episode for the first time since 2016, with Impact clearly looking to stack the roster with some names from the company's past. In other Impact 1000 news, it's also been confirmed that reigning Impact World Champion Alex Shelley will defend his title against former X Division champion and one half of the current World Tag Team Champions Trey Miguel on the same episode, with the Rising Star looking to end the champion's reign that recently surpassed the 80-day mark. And finally, the show will also see a title versus career match on the card when ECW legend Tommy Dreamer wrestles what could be his last ever match. That's if he falls short in his attempt to win the Impact Digital Media Championship from current title holder Kenny King. Next up, this current AEW star is not at tonight's AEW Chicago tapings. As we covered briefly earlier in the video, CM Punk and Jack Perry would be caught up in a backstage altercation early on during the AEW All In London event, with both men reportedly being suspended pending investigation. Taking to PWInsider.com today, Mike Johnson would confirm that the former Jungle Boy is in fact not in town for tonight's show, and he would say, "For those who have asked, we are told Jack Perry is not at tonight's AEW Dynamite taping in Hoffman Estate, Illinois." This appears to all but confirm that the suspension reports are indeed true. Interestingly, there was no mention of CM Punk at all in Johnson's report, and whilst the lack of specifics has raised questions as to if he'll be there or not, we have to assume that he won't be there at the show in his hometown, much to the disappointment of the Chicago faithful. Next up, what does the future hold for this upcoming major free agent? Last week on AEW Dynamite, New Japan Pro-Wrestling star Will Ospreay would hint that he'll be hitting the free agency market next year when his current deal expires, leading to speculation on if he could leave his current employer for the likes of AEW or WWE. The claim aligns with a DAZN interview that Ospreay took part in earlier this year, where he noted that his deal with New Japan ends in February 2024. Speaking with Jack King of Cultaholic at this past weekend's Rev Pro 11-year anniversary show, Ospreay would reveal that his options are open as to where he could end up once his contract comes to an end, and he would note, "Not much, just that I am open to all options, that's all I can say." As we've seen in the past, All Elite Wrestling's relationship with New Japan hasn't stopped them from signing the promotion's talent when their deals expire, as we recently saw with both Juice Robinson and Jay White, whilst WWE would be silly not to have interest in bringing in the Aerial Assassin as one of their top international stars. But who do you think the current IWGP United States champion will sign a contract with next year? Let me know in the comments down below. And before you go, make sure you check out 10 facts that MJF doesn't want you to know.